Do you know that you can decompose numbers that have multiple places before we perform multiplication operation? So for example, if we want to multiply 12 and 14, we can decompose these numbers as 10 plus 2 and 10 plus 4. So 12 becomes 10 plus 2, and 14 can be decomposed as 10 plus 4. Let's now create a rectangle that reflects the decomposed numbers. Okay, so let me just draw a rectangle that is 12 squares long and 14 squares high. So you can just imagine how much work is needed if we are going to use the area method. Okay, nearly done. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. That is 12 squares long. And we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So that's 14 squares high. Now, as we mentioned a while ago, 12 can actually be decomposed into 10 plus 2, right? So let's write 12 into its expanded form. It's 10 plus 2. We can also do the same thing for 14. So 14 can be rewritten as 10 plus 4. Let's do that here. That's 10 plus 4. Now, when we do this, something very interesting happens. We will see that there are several regions created within the rectangle that makes it easier for us to count the rectangles. So what we did was we just created regions within our rectangle. And you can see that there are several rectangles formed within our rectangle. So this rectangle has a length of 10 squares and a height of 10 squares. This rectangle has a height of 4 squares and the length of 10 squares. This rectangle has a length of 2 squares and a height of 10 squares, while this rectangle over here has a length of 2 squares and a height of 4 squares. So if we count the number of squares inside these smaller regions, let's draw it over here. Say this is our rectangle that has a length of 12 squares and a height of 14 squares. And these are the regions that we have formed based on the expanded form of the numbers we are multiplying. Okay, so this is 12, which is also equal to 10 and 2, and 14 is equal to 10 plus 4. So if we count the number of squares inside each of the regions, for this big region, that's 10 squares long and 10 squares high, the number of squares inside that region comes to 100 squares. Now the number of squares inside this region, which has a height of 4 and the length of 10 squares, is 40. And then if we count the number of squares inside this region, which has a length of 2 squares and a height of 10 squares, we can count it to 20 squares. And this smaller region over here, which has a height of 4 squares and the length of 2 squares, gives us 8 squares. So since these numbers just tell us how many squares there are in each region, it means that if we add all these numbers up, it gives us the number or the total number of squares inside this bigger rectangle. So let's add 100, this big region, plus 40, this region, plus 20, this region, and 8, and we use the standard algorithm to add these numbers, it's going to give us 168, which is the answer to 12 times 14. You're going to see more of this technique in our next lesson when we discuss multiplying numbers using the grid method.